So I originally got into doing the trains because I like graffiti, and my friends and I really like, you know, subway trains and freight trains and the graffiti that can be seen on them. Many years later, I find myself replicating the same work I did in that world on miniature trains. So painting trains at home, super peaceful. Painting trains in the real world can be super peaceful if you have the right place to do so and you know which time you should be there and when you shouldn't. There's a risk involved, right? You're doing something illegal. And most importantly, you're leaving your mark on somebody else's property. So if they want to press charges on you, that's a reality. You know, in the real world of graffiti, you know, people that died painting trains, etc. Like, it's not just something that is a world that some people should jump into. You know, it's something they should be educated about. Sometimes when you start painting, you know, graffiti in the real world in a life-size sense, you know, it doesn't look like much when you start painting. Sometimes people might look at you like, what are you painting? So this one right here is just from my brain, and everybody that paints graffiti has a style, right? Everybody has an idea of their letters and where they're gonna go and how they kind of come in and out of things. So for me, I'm gonna mimic like a style that I do, right? But I always try to make it a little different than the ones before. Sometimes I'll actually take this and I'll like thicken it up with the idea of going back with the other one. Switching markers. You always want to, like, you know, get better as an artist and share your new work, right? And show people what you've been up to. Like, hey, I'm not stale. You know, like I try to add like little like doodads coming off. Like you can see how much more it's like getting in it, right? So it looks busier, like that little line coming out of there, this little one. Like you start to pull things off of things and bring them in and out. It really makes your stuff look busier. So well, you can see like it looks glossy, so that's when you know it's still wet. The guys at the Model Train Club are always paying attention to what trains are running where. So this guy, to me, it's kind of, it would be at the end of its life, kind of like heading for the scrapyard because it's just so old. But it's also one of those things where if you caught it in real life and you were a graffiti guy and you didn't paint this, you'd probably kick yourself. Back in the day, it was more of a numbers game. It was like, how many tiny, cool, small pieces can you do on a train, on different trains in a night? Now it's like, how big can you go and how legible could it be so that everybody can read it? Every video you see on the news of a train that had an accident, I always look at it for what graffiti's on the cars that I'm never going to see again because they're going to scrap those cars. The graffiti is very prevalent on trains, whether, you know, the railroad club accepts it or not. When I first showed up at the club, you know, I didn't really have like my act together. There are rules at the train club as far as wheels and connection points between trains and having engines and all that kind of stuff. So like I show up without an engine. I got this ragtag bunch of graffiti cars with plastic wheels and plastic couplers. And then once I started to talk to people and kind of show them what I was into and other things like making scenery, which is a big part of the modeling world, that's when the conversations at least opened up. If you look at old trains, they had like, you know, 6, 7 color logos, and they were really beautiful and like kind of, you know, gold gilded. And there's like a lot of really cool advertising in old train history. I don't model in that era, but I have a super respect for that kind of stuff because it's like the antithesis of being a good painter. Those guys painted that stuff by hand. That's just as much work, if not more work, than, you know, guys are doing in the graffiti world on trains. I mean, when it comes to the spots here on the layout, there are definitely a few that remind me of benching, right? And looking at trains in the real world. The more that I can get shots of this looking like it's real, you know, and including the scenery to make it look more real, that's kind of the detail key, right? So that is my angle when I come here to shoot videos. Where can you get to look the most realistic and not so fake? Look how good your lighting is. Look at your cab, dude. Dude, your cab was nice. You know, if I can replicate the things that I'm seeing in the real world, make them completely on scale in a miniature sense to where if I hold up the small one in front of a photograph of the real one, you wouldn't know the difference. I want it to be able to look at it and tangibly say, okay, that right there is as good as the photograph. This place is full of unique sounds. It's been real.